to the Good Warfare Communications Broadcast Network. I'm your host, Wes Mullins, and this is Everyday Apologetics. This is a no logical fallacy zone. This is a check your presuppositions and self-refuting statements at the door zone. So open your mind and open your hearts, and let us reason together.
Hello everyone, this is Wes Mullins, your host for Everyday Apologetics. Today's show is going to include snippets from a lecture given by Lawrence Krauss. Lawrence Krauss is a cosmologist and a theoretical physicist. He is also an atheist and has debated numerous times William Lane Craig, among others. He recently was holding a lecture in Australia, which is, those of you that don't know, Australia is widely known to be heading up this atheistic movement, especially going into education and things. So I think this 7-minute clip that we have is going to be huge as we break it down into smaller segments to understanding what lies behind this push for atheism to make religion extinct. And we're back. Okay, we're going to look at this 7-minute clip here. I'm going to play it in its entirety because what I want the listener to hear is I want the listener to hear this exactly as I consume this in its entirety, and you feel the weight of the compilation of arguments that begin to compound upon the listener. Now, this is just a Q&A. I am not taking this as this is exactly what Lawrence Krauss says. Here are his syllogisms. Here are his premises. No. I'm just taking what he's saying in everyday conversation because this is a Q&A. This is off the cuff. This is just his knee-jerk responses. These are the things that people are going, this is how the information is going to come to you. So what I want you to do is I want you to be able to understand how these things come to you and how to respond to them. So we're going to treat this like this was a conversation with Lawrence Krauss. You're going to listen to this and you're going to find out how to logically decipher this, decode it, and then be able to respond because you're going to have conversations like this in the day-to-day. So we're going to use this as an example of how to listen to something that not necessarily is an argument in an academic argument, but it is a conversational argument. So without any further ado, here's a clip. Lawrence Krauss in a Q&A.
Cute kind of lessons of history rather than reality.
I agree with you, but of course I think we should expose children to that, but we shouldn't expose it when there are classes of comparative religion.
Well, we don't have any.
Well, there are in the U.S., but they're presented as if they're all sacred. What we need to do is present comparative religion as a bunch of interesting historical anecdotes, and then and show the silly reasons why they did what they did. But absolutely, instead of shying away from it, we have to explicitly educate people to confront their own misconceptions.
I think that might be a century away. I think in the interim, at least if we learned about each other, we would be less likely to want to kill each other.
Well, when you say it's a century away, when I talk about this, and it was again something I cut out from my remarks because I was going late, people say, well, religion's been around since the dawning of man, you'll never change that. But I point out, and Nancy and I were just talking, we talk about this a lot, this issue of gay marriage, it's going to go away. Because if you have a child, a 13-year-old, they can't understand what the issue is. It's it's gone. One generation is all it takes. So I can tell you that, a generation ago, people had said there's no way that people would allow gay marriage, okay? And slavery, essentially a generation got rid of it. And so all you have to do, change is always one generation away. And we have the children, and exactly. So if we can plant the seeds of doubt in our children, religion will go away in a generation, or at least largely go away. And that's what I think we have an obligation to do. Yes, you gave me the $2, so you got to ask a question.
It's another $2 though.
I only got one. I already checked.
Yeah, it's all right.
I think the fear for me is that medical science is getting that progressive that, you know, one generation doesn't last 90 years, or it might not last 90 years. And
It takes a long for people to die, yeah.
So the premise of, you know, the generation gaps is...
Yeah, that's true. In fact,
I mean? Like, if old people are living to 200, then are their ideals being carried along with them?
well, you know, that's true. And there's a statement that old theories never, in science, that old theories never die, old theorists do. And if it's true, you just have to wait for them to die. But you're absolutely right. But the question is, who has the positions of power in a society? And ultimately, it's going to be the next generation. That happens. And so, the best we can do is try and make the next generation better than this one. And that's what I think we all try. That's what the purpose of education is.
Can I add? The oldest woman on the planet, the oldest person on the planet is currently 116 years old. She was born in 1898. When she was born, there was an entire whole other set of people on the planet. Everybody on the planet has changed in that time.
Yeah.
We all
It's
have
just,
changed that
you know,
generation.
death is a wonderful thing.
I made a suggestion that if part of the core curriculum for every student was logic, critical thinking and comparative religion, they'd all wake up that all of these contradictory and mutually exclusive belief systems can't all be right, but the logical conclusion is that they're all wrong.
You know, you're right, but I mean, I think that's right, but I'm against sort of teaching logic in that sense as an abstract thing, because kids always wonder why the hell they're learning whatever the hell they're learning. So to me, in order to teach it in a way that kids will internalize, you have to convince them that it's related to something that they're interested in. So you could take, and it doesn't have to be science. All fields of scholarly endeavor, in principle, deal with the same kind of critical thinking, examination, all because I happen to firmly, I was going to say believe, but I don't use the word believe. I know. No, I don't know. But I highly suspect, from the basis of everything that I know about the universe, that the only kind of knowledge is empirical knowledge. That you can take any discipline and use it as a way to teach critical thinking. So you don't teach logic in the abstract, because I think kids it'll go in one ear or the other. But you demonstrate to kids their own misconceptions by asking, you know, this is really true, so I'm happy to crunch up a picture myself, okay? Is that someone? Oh, it's not you. Okay, I better not do that. This is your notes. I can crunch them up. Okay, so...
That's okay, you can use that.
No, this won't break. I hope. It's a rock. Okay, so I did this for the leaders of the free world once when I was lecturing in Aspen. So I said, you got a piece of paper and a cup. Okay? I'm going to drop them. Which is going to hit the ground first? Well, you'll be pleased to know that the leaders of the free world all agreed the cup would hit first. And it did. And it did break. I used a book in that case. But what I then did is what I do for first-year physics students. I took the piece of paper, I did this, and they fall the same way, okay? And so all of them had gone in school and learned that Galileo told us that all objects fall the same rate in the absence of error. But it had gone in one ear and out the other because it didn't mean anything. But when I did that demonstration to them, it confronted their own misconceptions, caused them to think about why they thought what they thought, and I guarantee you that all of them remember it. Okay, so that's how. If you want to teach kids, you can't just tell them things. You have to do it in a way that brings them in ways they're interested. And it doesn't. And as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter what field. I don't care what you teach them, whether it's physics or in some sense history or any area. You're teaching those very tools, but you don't shy away from religion any more than you shy away from the claim that the Earth was the center of the universe. We laugh at that now. And we explain to kids why that's, we get kids to realize why that might be wrong, or that the Earth is flat, because we can go around it. And so we should take other falsifiable facts which are at the center of our society, which is religious doctrine, and make just as much fun of that as we do of everything else to get kids thinking. Anyway, that's it.
With religious education, it tells you what to think, not how to think.
Teachers are also hesitant to do, as parents are, is to convince kids to not believe what they say, to doubt what they say. Because that's what good teachers should do, and that's what good parents should do too. But it's very hard to do. I'll go on this
And we're back. So as you listen to that clip, that Q&A, if this is your first time in getting into apologetics and getting into rethinking thinking, there were probably lots of things in there that caught you off guard. There were probably lots of things on there that sounded like they were very well formulated thoughts. So what it's my job to do is to take you through this and show you the areas where you can challenge them and where you can ask them for proof. You can ask them to clarify. And so this is just a way for us to view the possibilities that we have. Here we go.
Cute kind of lessons of history rather than reality.
I agree with you, but of course I think we should expose children to that, but we shouldn't expose it when there are classes of comparative religion.
We don't have any.
Well, there are in the U.S., but they're presented as if they're all sacred.
Well, we seem to have lost the first section of the audio. The lady asked the question about religion and about creating curriculum in schools where we actually teach comparative religion. She goes, where we can show that all these religions will wind up being the same and therefore all wind up being incorrect. And then Dr. Lawrence Krauss comes along later and then says, well, the problem with comparative religion is that they're all treated as sacred. I'm not really sure exactly. He's trying to take a discipline such as theology and such as religion. He's trying to take it and paint it into, it's almost like an ad hominem attack. He is attacking theology and religious studies as something that is, he says there that it's more than superstitious, that it's sacred. Now he's using sacred there in the negative connotation. It's sacred, you can't touch it. Well, she's saying that we could turn it in and just show that these things are historical anecdotes. Here's what we used to believe when we were superstitious. And he's saying, well, the problem with comparative religion is you can't do that because they're sacred. They won't allow you to do that. They won't allow you to touch it because it's the sacred temple. We have to respect everybody's beliefs. Everybody can believe something silly because it's sacred. And he's really, he's being antagonistic about that, which, I mean, antagonizing people in sarcasm is a great way to have an honest, intellectually honest dialogue with other people who have different beliefs. And I am absolutely kidding. It is the absolute worst way. Now, there is a movie out called The Unbelievers with Dr. Lawrence Krauss and with Dr. Richard Dawkins. And you can find out and see just how these guys interact with other people. And they're not the most tolerant of people. If you watch any of the debates with Lawrence Krauss in Australia with William Lane Craig, you will see just how rude of a person that he is in these forums. I don't know him personally, but listening to him in dialogue and debates, he is not a very tolerant, he is not a very patient person, and he seems to have his mind made up, and he is a little belligerent in the way he brings it about, which I feel like that's what he's trying to do here. So how do you push back on something where somebody says, well, they're all sacred? I would actually ask him, what do you mean by sacred? What are you driving at here when you say